Low Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Orc Mode workout. Today is max effort bench press day. I am back from my deload. Vacation is over, time to get back to training. But you guys know the rules. Please remember to click like down below, help keep the likes higher than the dislikes. And even if you reach down there and check, a lot of times people will peek, well, they're not higher. Well, till later in the day when someone comes through with a bot and hits another 50 dislikes. So if you guys would do that, it would be greatly appreciated. So today we did something different. We got a PR on it though. I did the football bar against 50 pounds of bands. Now I got 315 against the 50 pounds of bands. And it felt slightly challenging, but not so hard that I thought I would miss. Like I thought I had at least a 50% chance of making another jump. And I ended up tapping the upright on my way up, which for me, guys, it's the football bar because it's awkward, it's wide, it barely fits between those J-hooks. So if it gets even an inch off center, I'm going to hit it. And because I struggle with lockouts, I'm weak on the lockouts, and against bands, anything that messes with that lockout, I'm done. Like it sapped all my energy when it tapped that upright. And I knew it the second it hit it that I was done because I was already starting to grind, and then I hit it. So I'll still take the PR. I just wish I could have got the next PR up. But, you know, the pressing strength is coming along. So, I mean, I'm happy with that. The deload helped. Deload helped. But look at that. The 315 was clean, and that was a PR. All right, that was a PR. So, hopefully we get a good deadlift day tomorrow, because tomorrow's going to be a max effort deadlift. Because last week we did a squat. And I'm going to work with mostly, like, deficit stuff for a while. We're going to skip out on the chains and everything. We're going to do deficits from different heights. 1, 2, 3 inch deficits. And again, work on that because I know that's really going to tell me where I'm weakest. All right, it's going to tell me where I'm weakest because I know where I missed deadlifts. But yeah, right there, I hit that upright, and as soon as I hit that upright on the left, the right just gave out. Right? It just gave out, and it just came down. Afterwards, now this is challenging. Yes, I'm using the Buffalo bar for the close grip. Because the Buffalo bar weighs more, this is actually 232, for those curious. It's not 225. Why the Buffalo bar for this? It adds an extra inch or two, inch to an inch and a half extra range of motion even on close grip, because the bend is even in the middle, because I've checked it, my hands go lower. So I'm picking up at least an inch of extra range of motion at the bottom. Gives a deeper stretch. And yes, I am doing close grip because number one, I need more tricep. Number two, it's just easier on my shoulders. It's easier on my shoulders. And it's a longer range of motion. Okay. This adds it even further. So this was challenging. Now it's hard for me to get set up. You guys know I have to grip wide and do that because if I try to grip that middle, it flips over. But you know, these were challenging and I felt my pecs tremendously. Now it did feel a slight, almost twinge in the shoulder like, oh man, this is almost too much range of motion, but it's no deeper than I'd get with dumbbells. So it kind of worked the limits of my safe range of motion for me with my shoulders. But that's what we want. I have long arms. I have long arms relative to my height. And then doing this, it's going to make the range of motion even longer because close grip's long. This will make it longer. We're working more muscle. We're getting a little bit better stretch out of the bottom of the chest. All right, I need that to help me get better at the bottom because I'm going to do a lot of speed work against bands and chains. I'm going to start doing board work for triceps. Okay, I'm waiting on my bench block. I'm going to start doing, instead of a bunch of even extensions, I'm going to mess with what's going to be very specific to my benching. I'm going to probably start repping like a 3 board, repping a 4 board, repping a 2 board. People would say, why? Build my tricep specific to the bench. Okay. I can get enough overall tricep development out of the dips. Okay, the dips are a big mass builder for me. We're going to do them every upper body day. We're going to get stronger and stronger. I'm going to rotate through variations. But it's going to be a lot of close grip pressing using my different bars. Going to do a lot of dips, having my 3 different dip variations. And I'm going to start doing board work. I like JM presses. I can rotate back and forth depending on how I feel. But for me, guys, I am not chasing this, oh, let's just get even just overall development. We did tons of that. I did tons of long head work for my triceps. Tons of overhead pressing. Got strong on all that stuff. It didn't do much for my bench. Now I'm switching over to specific stuff. You know what? Dips can be my overall builder. Close grip pressing. Tricep work specific to my benching. Getting my pecs and my triceps big. With a focus on the heads of the tricep that carry over to the bench. It's the only way my bench is going to go up. Yeah, we need overall size, but nothing's being neglected. training everything. All three heads of my delt, my entire pec, my triceps, biceps, everything's getting trained hard. Upper back. A little more focus on the upper back on the bench days and keeping the overall back development on squat and deadlift days. Okay. So that's one reason we saw a PR right there after my deload. Right? We saw a decent little PR. We're going to see more of those. So we have to do. I'm going to be very, very specific for my benching. And yeah, my training is very west side at this point. Very much the west side method. Not true west side because I'm not training at west side. But I'm using their version of conjugate. If we have the conjugate method, then we have the west side method, which is, you know, where you'd incorporate all of it. You know, and I'm thinking that way. I'm looking at it that way. All this stuff is very bench specific. My 2 upper body days are bench focused because we do other upper body stuff even on the squat and deadlift day. All right, and I'm thinking like them: posterior chain, triceps, upper back. And I'm going to have to think that way for a while. So I've got to get my numbers up. A lot of people are like, why don't you cut? Because my numbers aren't where they need to be. I don't know why people don't grasp that when they say that in the comments. This is not some weird G4P bodybuilder channel, guys. That's not what I do. We care about strength, power, performance. Right? We care about strength and power and explosiveness. Being thick and jacked. I can always cut later because I've seen me do it before. I don't care. I might lean out a little bit coming up here soon, but I'll cut later this year. We got to get to our numbers first, though. Like, I need to get to a 600 squat. We need to get my bench up to like 375. And we got more important things to worry about than abs or my loose skin. So over to the point, the dips. I love these banded dips. I went up today. I struggled to get all of them. I got 3 sets of 10 with the next heavier bands up because the bands I were using were too light, so I went up to the next band. Ooh, a little tougher. I got 10 on the first 3, then I got like 8, and then I think I squeezed out 9 or 10 on the last one. It might have been 9. But I know the one of them I got 8 and I just stuck. But you know, that happens. We went up in band tension, and I did other heavier stuff first, right? We hit a bench PR on a variation, missed a PR, went to a more challenging version of that close grip with just as much weight. It really a couple pounds over. And that was tough. Like, I really felt it. Felt a lot of pec, a lot of tricep. It's what we want from that, right? Same thing I get over here. Felt my chest and triceps in a completely different way. Because this lights my chest up. Like the banded dips really, really hammer my chest. I think it's funny because people have asked on that, and it seems like it's one of those exercises that should be more tricep dominant because of the bands, but it's not. And I'm not saying your triceps don't get worked tremendously, just that I feel the chest on them. It's that stretch reflex you get with the bands. Then we did the inverted rows. I've had some people say, really, how are these challenging? They're just body weight, and just sets of 12. Like, well, try them. Doing a pretty wide grip, and I'm a pretty heavy guy. And yes, I can crank out 10 to 12 chin-ups, not a problem. I was doing 100 chins a day at one time, and I had gotten them to where I was doing 10 sets of 10. This is just a more challenging exercise the way I'm doing it with the slightly wider grip, because I'm only strong at chins and stuff with a real narrow grip. With this wider grip and me pulling the bar to my upper chest, I'm really working a lot of upper back. And actually, I got a cramp in my posterior delts. By around the 3rd set of this, my posterior delt started cramping. Okay, so we need that. We need my rear delts to grow. Okay, this isn't just about lats, because my lats get a ton of stimulation from the Pendlay rows. This is a little more specialized. This is getting a little more focus on my upper back. Not as much worry about the lats, or definitely not the erectors, spinal erectors, and all that. Okay, it's a different lift. The axle bar Pendlay row is in a lot of ways people would think it's very similar, but it's not. It's a different emphasis. That's more, it's obviously grip with the axle bar, then a lot more lat, obviously lower back, all of that stuff. This is a lot more upper back dominant. And I feel it. And again, especially with a slightly wider grip like that, I can feel those rear delts a lot. More than I feel on my other rows. So I think we've got a really, really good combination here. And this is going to give me better stability for my bench. Because obviously you need pecs to bench. Hopefully no reasonable person thinks pecs don't apply to the bench. But all the guys who are not that big on the pecs, they all agree. triceps, upper back. Well, I'm making sure I get all three. But we've got to put a focus on that upper back. We've got to put a focus on the triceps. And I really need the lateral and medial head of the triceps to grow. So we're focusing on all of that. But this exercise really does a good job there. If someone were to say, well, what else could you do? What would be another good choice? Maybe like dumbbell rows laying on an incline bench, face down. Chest supported on an incline bench, dumbbell rows. Obviously both hands. Then we did the JM presses. And yes, I do them pretty wide grip because I feel it in my tricep the way I feel it on my bench. It's very similar to the bench grip I use for max benching. All right. Which is a good inch outside the rings. My thumbs are about an inch from the smooths. So they're about an inch into the knurling. And again, when I do them this way, I really feel the triceps where I need it for the benching. So it works. And I did about 12, 13 reps on each set. Minimum of 12, did my 5 sets, and it worked. Now, I'm going to have my bench blocks, hopefully today, actually, but by the end of the week for sure. And we'll start doing the board presses. And again, I feel like I need the variation, and it's not to say I'm not going to keep messing with the JM presses back and forth. I can always rotate them. But, you know, I know a lot of really, really good benchers out there who are some jack guys who will tell you, I don't know, you don't need a lot of the smaller tricep movements, do the big stuff. You know, JM presses like this work, close grip benching, board presses. And again, the board presses, because if you pick the heights, it's very specific to the top half of your bench, to your bench lockout. And it's less chest work. And again, it's something you got to be careful with programming, just like with everything else. But it's easier on your elbows. It's easier on your tendons. And that's what a lot of this comes down to, because a lot of the smaller tricep movements that we do give you tendonitis or tendon stress, no matter how we do them. It gives me a variation to work in that I can work for a while. Yes, it might be difficult on recovery, because you're dealing with a really heavy weight, but it's very specific to benching. And then if I need to go back to doing some JM presses and stuff, I can. Right? I can rotate these things back and forth. Okay, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to be married to one thing. And that's what I get frustrated with when people see me rotating the exercise. You're like, oh, you're abandoning saying what you were just doing is a shitty exercise. No. Advanced lifters have to rotate this stuff. Okay? I want most of you guys to realize without rotating exercises, the odds of you getting to a 400 bench, 650 deadlift, things like that, unless you're very genetically gifted, you can forget it. All right? We've got to use these different variations. Then I did my upright rows. I went a little heavier today. And I want to remind people, every time I do these are a counterindicated exercise. If you do them differently than I do them, you're not following my advice, and I am not responsible for your stupidity and injuries. Okay? Make that clear. If you're gripping these at shoulder width or narrower and you're bringing the bar to your chin, do not blame me for your stupidity. And I don't care how many bodybuilding champions do them that way. Every expert in physiology says it will damage your shoulders. And remember, most bodybuilders are idiots. And I don't know how much more clear we can be on that. The average professional bodybuilder is a moron. Don't listen to them. I'm not saying there aren't some smart ones. I'm talking on average. Don't do what they do. So, over to the point. Wide grip. My pinkies are on the rings. I don't go above the chest, right? At most, a couple inches above the nipple. And it's okay to cheat a little bit, it's fine. But the main point is the bar path we want in the shoulder position. This avoids shoulder impingement. And yes, I feel these light my delts up. Okay? Feel them light my delts up. That's what we want. Good shoulder activation. I feel these a lot more than I felt laterals. And I don't feel the pain in my shoulders. My shoulder health is good right now. I'm doing things that, you know, just got to be careful with what I do. But my shoulders feel great as of now. They feel great as of the last couple weeks. No pain, no inflammation, and we need to keep it that way. It doesn't mean we can't do things that can compromise. It's just we have to pay attention to ranges of motion. Same thing, that buffalo bar, if I grip it wide, it will hurt my shoulders. I can do that close grip, though, and it's fine. It puts me right at the edge of what I can get away with in terms of range of motion. But we don't exceed it. We're at the edge. All right, same thing here, wide grip. Just to be careful of these things. Same thing, I don't flare on my dips. I keep the elbows back. Pay attention to shoulder health. But this is the heaviest I've gone with these. I went up on this. This is up actually a decent amount, like 20 pounds. I got 12s instead because I did like 15s last time. So I went up 20 pounds. Now I decided to try to do my curls with the same weight because I'm like, yeah, might as well. I got 12 last time. I only got like 8 or 9 reps. I did, and they're almost cheat curls, and that's okay. But I decided to do 2 sets of this. I'm like, I'm done with this. Let me just do some hammer curls. Because I'm getting some supine work with all my band stuff that I do. And I do the band stuff, you know, I'm going to do it a couple days a week. I'll get at least 6 or 7 sets of the band curls in every week for the connective tissue. That's supine. Really, if I need to put meat on, hammer curls might be better for my benching. Why? Because they increase all the muscles of the upper arm that aren't tricep. It'll help radial brachialis, bicep, all of that. And I need that for benching, right? It gives you something to bounce off of. But I did 2 sets of these, and they were harder with this weight. Like, I cheated a little more than I normally do. I know a lot of people are like, well, your idea of a cheat curl is still pretty strict. Yeah, true. But it's not real. It's not super strict. A little bit of English on it, right? We're cheating a little bit. Still working on getting that full range of motion, though. But I did 2 of these and decided just to finish off some hammer curls. And I lost count. I just took them to failure. I know I got past 20 reps of the hammer curl. I have 1 set of dumbbells. I don't want to buy dumbbells and clutter my place and spend $1,000 on dumbbells and then have more space. I mean, I'd consider the Rogue stuff. I don't need them right now. There could come a point where they'd be a useful addition. I just don't want to spend it. It would interfere with doing other things I want to do with my life. Right? Got other things I'm working on. So I just don't feel like doing it. So I'm just going to use these for now, and I can take them to failure. I might just add more sets. I might do more of the hammer curls coming up. Right, just to make sure that we're helping with the bench, building all of that up. And they're going to be really high reps if I do that. So I'm just going to have to take them to failure, and it's going to be past 20 reps. But I could do like 5 sets. It'll be okay. It'll do what I want. But it was a good workout. Got a PR. We're going to deadlift tomorrow. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.